Good morning, Janice.
Good morning, Anthony.
Today we're going to chat about limited powers of attorneys for solo agers specifically. So if you're a solo ager and you must use a power of attorney, I don't really think you ever do must, but make it as limited as possible. So we got the following, question from one of our followers. She points out that in my book, I do sort of dissuade you from using a financial power of attorney because I don't think it's really necessary. It's not absolutely necessary, especially if you have a solid living trust in place. And I do think there's a high risk of abuse, and I do think powers of attorneys are basically overpowered. In any event, this listener or follower said that her lawyer refused to complete her estate plan unless she included a financial power of attorney. She's like, what should I do? That's an interesting situation.
Quite the conundrum, yes.
So first, let's talk about why I'm not a fan of powers of attorney and why I try to avoid them whenever possible. And then we'll kind of think about why the attorney would insist. And then lastly, we'll cover how you can limit the power of attorney if you, quote unquote, have to use one, yeah?
Right.
Okay, so why I avoid POAs whenever possible. And basically, they're super, OP or overpowered. Mm-hmm. You can go to any deli or stationery store and execute one with just a simple notary. There's no witness requirements. It's really, really just so basic. But for that basic execution, you get potentially unlimited control over somebody else's money, finance, house, bank, safe deposit, everything.
Everything. Yeah.
On top of that, it's it's pretty unstructured, meaning there's no guide rails in the law for how does the power of attorney get compensated? What happens if you have questions about what they've been doing? Is there an accounting proceeding like within estates? Not that I'm aware, at least not in New York. So those are the cons. And if you have a revocable living trust, you have most of the benefits of a power of attorney covered. And what I mean by that is the reason you would want a power of attorney is in case you're abroad or in case you're incapacitated. Means that's the big one. Who can manage your funds for you so that you don't go into foreclosure or into arrears and stuff like that. But if you have a revocable living trust, your trustee has the power to do those things. So you already have that scenario kind of covered. So the power of attorney would at best be covering sort of edge cases that are not covered by the revocable living trust. And in my opinion, I don't push force anything on my clients. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think having that super overpowered document floating out there is worth. I don't think the risk of having that is worth covering those edge cases. Yeah.
Yep. And if you've read one, I mean, when you say overpowered, they have the authority to do everything.
Yeah.
Buy, sell, give away, you name it, they can do it with anything. There really isn't much restriction on a generic power of attorney.
I mean, the supreme example from the headlines is Brooke Astor, the famous philanthropist here in New York. Her son or grandson, her son ended up basically siphoning $80 million from her estate with that single notary, simple document. Contrary to the rest of her estate planning.
Yeah, but it said. Yeah.
And I know folks saying, "Oh, I would only give this to somebody I trust." Listen, this job makes us a bit cynical, but we have seen way too many divorcing spouses, or what do you call it? Sons who feel jilted, or other relatives, friends who they had people who used to be the most trusted and perfect candidates go astray. Let's call it that.
Yes, money does interesting things to people, whether you want it to or not.
And that's, that shouldn't paralyze you from doing things. But I do think in this case, that document is super overpowered. So just to minimize its use.
Right.
Okay, moving on. So why would an estate planning attorney insist that you sign a power of attorney? Why would they say, no, I'm not doing your plan unless you sign it? Short answer is I have no idea. I have no idea why anyone would be that stubborn in forcing their client to do things that way. And basically, in my mind, it's like a doctor. If a doctor's like, here, eat this pill and you'll be better, and if you don't listen to me, I'm not going to be a doctor anymore. I'm like, well, can you tell me what the pill is? Why I have to have this pill?
Give you some information, right?
Or let's make it a bigger, more not a pill, like a surgery, right? There's downside. Right. There's a lot more calculation with that. I mean, pills too, but
effort.
But it's like, hey, can you explain to me why
right.
I have to have this surgery? Like, no, just do it, or I'm not going to be a doctor anymore. So,
Right.
at the very least, I hope the attorney has explained thoroughly their reasons why, to your satisfaction, why they insist. If they don't, or if you disagree, then yeah, maybe you should find a different attorney. Yeah.
Right. My theory on that is, I have a theory, whether it's right or wrong, is I think attorneys have just always done it this way. Honestly, I think that they started this way. I have some attorneys that have done, like that I know of that have been doing this 34 years, but they've always done it that way. So we just do it, right? Which isn't a great answer because times have changed and we've seen that the power of this document, right?
Yeah.
So we might want to reevaluate that.
I mean,
just
that's
because
in not just in this scenario, but in most areas, that's one of the most frightening answers I will ever get. Well, because we've always done it this way. I'm like, what?
Right. Yeah, like it's sometimes you have to do your research, change your ways a little, and yeah, that's tough.
And I know it stinks if you've been working with somebody for a while to switch attorneys and you're otherwise comfortable with them. But if you can't get a decent answer to what I think is a pretty powerful question, then yes, it sucks
Absolutely.
to have to get onto Google again or a phone book or ask friends for referrals, but it might be worth at least getting a second opinion. Like, again, going back to that medical analogy.
Right. Get your second opinion for your mega surgery.
Yeah. Okay, so if you do have to, do one, again, I don't think you ever have to, but if you do, then let's limit it. See if that attorney will at least limit it for you. There's two main ways to limit a power of attorney. Number one is to not give a general power of attorney, but rather a springing power of attorney. Mm-hmm. General is effective immediately. The minute you walk out of the deli that's notarized your superpower document, that person who's named as your power of attorney has the authority to basically run your life, your financial life.
Right. They can go from the deli to the bank.
The springing power of attorney is conditional. Those powers only come into existence if certain requirements are met, and the requirements are usually like you've been deemed incompetent or unable to make your own decisions by two physicians, something like that.
Yes.
So at least
bring
there's
into action when
there's somebody who's watching out. Your doctor in this case. I don't know if that's ideal, but at least you have some limits on that power. And then second way you limit a power of attorney is by not. So okay. If you've ever seen a power of attorney, it's basically like a list of things that your power of attorney can do for you. Banks, cash, gold, brokerage, this, that, and the other. And the default is to check the last one that says all of the above. Right? Not check, but sign, Yeah.
Right.
Don't do that. Limit it to what only the scenarios. Like one of the checkboxes is to gift all my money away.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't check that one or don't sign that one.
Right. Or just remove it.
Yeah.
Like if you don't want to do it. So
again, if you're going through this, which ones should I check or not check? And maybe it's not the right person. Or maybe you don't want to give somebody a power of attorney. But if you have to, I don't think you ever have to, but if you have to, maybe just really carefully go down that list and decide, all right, look, the scenario that I'm trying to protect against, they really only need to have these 3 or 4 authorizations. Yeah.
If they're not something you're going to do, if you're not getting ready to give all of your stuff away to charity while you're still living, or if you're not going to do it, don't give someone else the power to do that because you wouldn't normally be doing it.
Yep. Yeah. All right, so that's it. Again, we're trying to help our solo ager listeners and followers by responding to each and every one of your questions. We'll try our best at least. And this one came in, and it seemed like something we could help with. Yeah.
Yep. No, definitely appreciate your questions. If you don't have it already, click the link down there for a copy of Anthony's book, The Solo Ager Estate Plan.
Cool. Again, keep the questions coming. We try our best.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. And thanks, Janice. We'll talk soon next time.
Talk soon.
Bye now.